Welcome to the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. I'm so excited that you decided to join us today. This show is all about celebrating the journeys of authors, entrepreneurs, and people who are boldly chasing their dreams, creating meaningful products and services, and inspiring others to do the same. Each episode will uncover the stories behind the successes, the lessons learned from the challenges, and the advice that can spark action in your own life. My goal is simple, it's to remind you that your dreams are possible and to leave you feeling inspired and empowered. So let's get to today's guest. Our guest today is Earl Hall. Earl is a media personality, author, business coach, so much more. But he has such an incredible story to share with us. Welcome to the show, Earl.
Melissa Banks, it is an honor to be here on the Melissa Banks Show. Thanks so much for having me. Definitely.
I am so excited for us to get started. I wanted to start this whole conversation, Earl, with your journey. What an amazing journey we watch all the amazing videos, the voiceovers, the best-selling books. It's like you touch it and it's exploding, and you're helping us because you give so many tips, and we just love following your journey. Talk to us a little bit about how you turned this amazing journey. You have how you turned your dream into the reality that you have today.
Oh my gosh. That's not an easy question. I mean, we're talking, spanning 20 years at this point of me having a lot of different entrepreneurial journeys. The journey started for me, at the age of 30, really, right when my first child was born. And this year I'll be turning 56. So that journey started off, my background is mechanical engineering and design. I had an engineering firm that I started in 1999,
Wow.
and had really big clients like Harley Davidson. I lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the time, which then that was the home base for Harley Davidson. um, that business took off. I made a mistake though. And this is a mistake that I try and warn entrepreneurs about. I started that business on my kitchen table in a two-bedroom apartment and grew that business, got those types of clients. People saw what I was doing overseas in Belgium, even in the United States and in India. And three people from those three different places approached me and asked me to basically start a business with them. They invested heavy. And that was my mistake. I let people invest way too early because when you let people invest, they control. I lost control of my own company and it failed. And then I had to reinvent and start again. But I have that entrepreneurial bug because my father said something to me when I was a teenager. And he simply said, have a mind to have your own. And I took that to mean what I thought it meant was to, have my own business, live life the way that I wanted to. And that's how I interpreted it. And went on, found out very quickly, I really didn't even love engineering. And, it's like, because my wife would ask, well, why don't you just start another firm? I was like, you know what? I don't even want to, and I caught the bug because, around 2001, if people can remember AOL, getting online and stuff like that and dial up with the, all that kind of stuff, which our kids don't even know what that life was about. But that was really the advent of me learning more and more about the internet, email marketing, and I got into radio, online radio. I got into voiceover. I got into video production, started on YouTube really back in 2010. And, it kind of grew from there. And I saw what my audience was interested in. And I just went down that path and just continued to catch the entrepreneurial, you know, drink that Kool-Aid and just want to help people and inspire people to know that you can do what you set your mind to if you have the skill set to do it. And my main focus is to just focus on my skill set, which is continuing to grow because I continue to look and to study and to consume and to iterate.
You know, Earl, you shared so much in that conversation right there. But one of the lessons I hope everybody didn't miss is that even though you started with one thing and some things happened, I call it, it took you down that rugged road, but
Hmm.
that also helped you to realize what you love. So some great things come out of what we consider, because you started out saying, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But really, that mistake led you into an area what you do love and what you were purposed to do.
Oh,
And that
absolutely.
is what's so important. Now, since that point, your journey actually has taken you into some different areas. You know, you started with doing one thing, but you do so many other things now, including business coaching, helping other entrepreneurs move on their dreams. There's so many different things that you do now. Is there, I know that was one turning point early in your career and in your journey, but is there a specific moment that you refer to? Now, I have a moment in my journey that I refer to as my defining moment. It was the moment that my eyes opened up. That was the moment that I knew what direction that I was supposed to go in. I didn't know how, and it didn't make sense to me at that moment, but that incident happened, and it was my defining moment for everything else. Is there a moment like that for you that you can share with us today? Because that moment really shaped who I am right now.
Absolutely. A defining moment for me, and I've thought about this so many times. Back in about 2006, no, I'm sorry, 2016. Um, I was really getting heavy into voiceover and creating commercials, but also at the same time, I started sharing my journey with other voiceover artists. I shared the journey of every day I was going live and talking about what I was doing. And voiceover is this industry which can be extremely bougie. Um, but I was sharing videos from my basement, very rough, um, talking about gear, talking about equipment, talking about how I was getting work. The defining moment was in 2017. After doing that for a year, I decided to do a webinar to talk about how to build your voiceover business. I was at the time, I was working full time as a bus operator in the city of Milwaukee. And so I had, been making enough money to have a studio downtown Milwaukee, very nice area. Did a webinar. This was about the week before Thanksgiving 2017. And on that webinar, I made $20,000. I got in 45 minutes. I got off of that webinar, standing in my office, crying like I was a 12-year-old boy. And I said, this is something that is real, that I can do. Those clients that I even had back then, they still come to me, they talk to me, they ask for advice. But that was the moment that I discovered that not only is online, being a business owner online possible and real, but it also showed me the importance of building an audience. Because one of the things that I say, and I think even in the post I made this morning on Facebook or one day this week, if you don't have an audience, if you don't have followers, you don't have customers. And it helps shape all the way up until today, almost 10 years later from that date. It shaped me in a way that I feel like I have enough experience, not only to write books, not only on business, not only to uh, do promo videos and book trailers for people that I do, but also coach people in a way that is simple and is direct and to the point. And if I had not had that defining moment where I was so humbled because I wasn't expecting it, but that was also the day, 1 week later, I quit my job.
Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That was amazing. I think that when we know that moment stays with us. My moment happened
Mhm.
back in 2002. But that moment I will never forget that moment because it changed everything that happened after that. So thank you for sharing that.
More than
So Earl,
welcome.
we've talked about this many times. We've talked about it with others. The challenges that we face on this entrepreneur journey, it's not always wonderful. Our memories and experiences don't always feel good. So every journey does has its challenges. Talk to us about a challenge or an obstacle that you had to face and how you were able to rise above it.
My most recent obstacle actually happened a, a year ago. Working for a startup, making over six figures. That startup failed. I'm out of a job. Six-figure job, I'm out of. But even like I said, when I quit my job as a bus operator in the city of Milwaukee, now I'm a bus operator in the city of North Carolina because I have those same skill set. And I always say, I mean, I went through a very dark time this time last year. I was not in a good spot and no one was seeing me on social media because in my mind, I was a failure. And I think so many times people look at losses like that as failure. And I was off social media for what, 9 months or something like that. And when I decided to come back through encouragement of a friend, I said at that time, I did it before. I can do it again. And what's happened, and this just happened last October. Now, just look at this. Since last October, I have released 3 bestsellers on Amazon. I have reinvigorated what I'm doing to help others reach their dreams and goals by my video production through the book trailers that I've been producing, promo videos, even some I've done for you.
Mhm.
Um, today, today, and I want people to hear this. This happened this morning. I got a DM on Instagram on Monday from someone that said they wanted a video. Now, it was someone I didn't know, and I really didn't think that's what they wanted. I thought they were actually going to pitch me on something. We had a meeting this morning, 2 hours ago, from a video that I produced 2 years ago. 2 years ago. This person, who wasn't a client then, but someone else referred him to me from 2 years ago, sent me $150 this morning to produce a video. And through those dark times, we, I think, have to remember all the things that we have done for others and that we never know who's watching us and who at some point is going to say, and this person didn't know me, by the way. This person was referred to me from someone in the life insurance industry that I had done work for. And that's the job, that's the startup I was working for for 4 years up until last February. You never know what you do today that is going to have impact tomorrow or 5 years from now. Don't quit. That's why you always see me wearing grind and don't quit. It's like that's my thing. It's like grind and don't, just keep doing the work. But when you have those dark times, know that there's a lesson in it all. There is a lesson in it all. And I do hold fast and true. And it's all coming to fruition for me now. I did it before. I will do it again.
Wow, Earl, thank you for sharing that. I don't want people to miss. First of all, you thought that startup, that was the it, that was the thing that was going to make you big, it was going to make you a lot of money, that was the it. And when that went away, you could have you could have crawled into a hole and poor me, kept your mouth closed and then talk about it. But what you did was went back to something that was in you.
Hmm.
The skills didn't leave you because you
No,
stopped doing that job.
they never do. The
Back
skills
to
do not
that.
go.
But you still didn't give up on your dream. Your dream had to go through some things. And I think that's what happens to us sometimes, Earl, is when we have to do it different than we planned, when it doesn't look like we planned it to look, we start thinking, then this is not what I'm supposed to be, that what really wasn't the dream.
Yeah.
But in that time that you took away, in that time that you paused, see, I believe when God placed that dream in you, it's in you, honey. Just because you're going through something, that dream didn't go away. He didn't change his mind. But
Yeah.
what happened to you, it took you that time away to go through whatever you needed to go through, to have that voice that spoke to you and says, now, Earl,
Yeah.
it's time to
Yeah.
come back and share what's already in you. And we're taking advantage of that because now we have those great skills and services. That is an amazing story that will inspire anyone that's listening, that because that dark season happens, that dark season is not the end.
Yeah.
The dark season is preparation for what's
Come
next.
on.
So thank you for sharing that with us. I want to take a moment to reset. If you're just joining us, this is the Melissa Banks Show. Our guest today is Earl Hall. Earl is a media personality, author, and business coach. Wow, Earl, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing that so much today.
Hmm.
As an entrepreneur, Earl, we go through some stuff. Sometimes we show up and we make it look all easy, like we got it all together. But sometimes you and I both know that it can be really tough. How
Hmm.
do you stay motivated during those seasons and focused on your goals?
Well, when you have goals, I think you always have to understand there's going to be a path to get there, and that path can loop you around some things and can take you down different paths and direction. But to stay motivated, what motivates me is seeing the results that I give for my clients. It's the motivation that drives me most, is when I see that, okay, I send over a link to a promo video or a book trailer that I've created to a client, and the responses that I get back, like, oh my gosh, Earl, this is amazing, or this is more than I expected, or it's like they come all the time. And that just motivates me to continue to move on, because those responses are my validation that I'm living my purpose. So the clients, you guys give me the motivation to continue and to go through. And even through the dark times, which we all will have, when you're doing something that is beneficial and helpful to others, it's therapeutic for me to say, okay, I might be going through something, but wow, I know the response that I got, okay, I can see I really helped someone else. Who else can I help?
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for that. Now, sometimes though, Earl, let's just be honest. Sometimes we have this dream. It's right here. We know we need to move on, and we're talking about it to everybody who will listen, but we just don't move on it. So sometimes starting is the hardest part of the
Oh, yeah.
entire journey.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who's hesitant to just take that first step toward their dream?
I think a lot of times people, they will dip their toe into the dream to test the water. And there's this video from about 10 years ago, I think from Steve Harvey, that he talks about jump. You have to jump and just know the parachute will open. Now, the thing about jumping for an entrepreneur, if you jump and you fail, so what? Jump again. Now, here's the thing, sometimes people will jump, or they'll start, and you're right, starting is the hardest thing. And so you've got to get past the start. And if you can't get past the start, nothing comes. And why don't people start? Here's what I believe people don't start because they're scared about what their cousin is going to say about what they're doing. They're scared about what the people at work are going to say about what they're doing. They're scared about what their mom or dad may say, their sister or their brother. But this is your life. They don't have a say unless you give them one. And if you don't start, you will never know what you can become. And you may have to start several times, but you know what? That's all right. It's all right. At least you have some sort of vision, some sort of aspiration to be more than you are right now. And here's the thing, we get to choose who we want to be. We literally get to choose it. No matter what our past is, no matter what we've done, who we've done it to, today, you can reject that person you were and become who you want to be.
Ooh, wow. Thank you so much for that. This has been an amazing conversation, Earl. Thank you so much for the time, for sharing so much with us. So many people were inspired and empowered just from this conversation today. So, what's next for you, Earl? And let our audience know how they can stay connected and support you in all that you do.
Well, you can find me on any social media network. It's just at Earl Hall Studio. That's everywhere. With that, what's next? Melissa, I don't know. Because as I continue to pursue what I pursue every single day, new opportunities present themselves. And that becomes my challenge. What opportunity am I going to follow? And is it in line with who it is that I want to be?
Wow. Thank you for that. We look forward to whatever it is because we already know it will be full of energy and it will be amazing. So, thank you again for being here.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, Melissa, for having me.
And thank you, our audience, for joining us for the Melissa Banks Show. I hope today's conversation with Earl Hall has reminded you that your dreams are within reach, no matter where you're starting. Until next time, I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying your journey is unique, your dreams are valid, and you have the power to design the life you love. Keep believing, keep growing, and keep shining. Until next time.